Welcome to Wines du Jour. We're in a little town just north of Las Vegas, Nevada, called North Las Vegas. You may have heard of it. We are at one of my favorite Italian restaurants in this area that serves some of the best and biggest pizza you've ever seen. In fact, their large pizza is 32 inches in diameter. That's a hell of a big pizza, but it feeds 16 people. So that's not so bad. Tonight, we're going to feature not only the good food here at Bambini's, but we're also going to feature one of the wines that I think you should know about if you don't already. If you're a golfer like I am, then you probably know about Greg Norman. Greg Norman is one of the world's greatest golfers ever from Australia. Well, you may not know it, but a few years back, he went also into the wine business. So he's pretty much retired from playing golf, but boy, is he into wine, and are they great. Tonight we're going to have the manager of Bambini's with us, and I have to tell you, he's very knowledgeable about Italian cuisine, even though he's German. It's amazing, isn't it? But the good part is the wines are going to fit with the food very, very well. We're going to start out with Greg Norman's, he calls it a red. That means it's a blend, and wait till you hear what he's blended together, and I wish you could have been here to taste it because it's absolutely spectacular. Then we're going to do a Cabernet Sauvignon. And then last but not least, with a little good old Italian cannoli for dessert, we're going to have a little bit of sparkling, or we call it bubble, from Australia. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back. I'm going to introduce you to Chris. Follow me. I want to introduce you to Chris. Welcome back to Wines du Jour. I told you I was going to introduce you to the manager here. You know, one of the problems, if you want to call it that, of owning a restaurant is somebody that knows what they're doing to manage it. You know, the owner hardly ever spends, 12, 14, 16 hours a day in the restaurant. They usually hire a manager and then oversee the bill paying and all the other things that go along with the payroll and so on. But here at Bambini's, they've located a gentleman. He may not be Italian, but he can he'd tell you about Italian food. He knows when it's good, and he knows how to teach people to give good service, keep the place clean, do all the things that you'd want a manager to do. He's sitting right next to me. His name is Chris Edsel. And I want to thank you very much, Chris, for inviting us to come in and share your hospitality at the restaurant and some of the food for the night.
No problem, Les. Thank you.
You bet. Listen, this restaurant, Bambini's, now that sounds to me like a baby. Am I correct? That the Bambini? Is that what that means?
It means little boy.
Little boy, okay.
Little boy.
I knew it was something like that. Bambino, I know some of that, but Bambini, that's pretty cool. Well, little boy came to town several years ago from the Naples area in Italy and decided he was going to show Americans what Italian cuisine should be. And Naples, of course, is the home of pizza, so naturally the big improvement, if you will, on pizza tasting comes from Bambini's and tasting just like it does back in Naples.
Yes,
tell us a little bit about how he does that and some of the certain things that he's a real stickler on to make sure that everything that goes out is the right thing as far as he's concerned, huh?
Well, he came to this country, like I said, about 50 years ago. I had a few businesses back east, and in 2002 he moved out here. He sold all his other businesses, thought he was going to retire. Well, he figured, got bored, so he was looking for some places located at the restaurant we're currently at. And back in 2008, he opened up, and ever since he's been here. Our pizza here is handmade, fresh every day. The dough is made, the flour is specific, his kind of flour only. Has to be the same way. The sauce has to be perfect, just like he wants it. Pasta's perfect. The garlic knots, which we're very famous for here, they're just made from our dough, flour. It's just a perfect all around. It has to be just his way, and it's great.
That's really good. A lot of people aren't aware, but if you are in Italy and you want to open a pizzeria, you can do that after you've gone to pizza school. I know it sounds a little strange, but you have to go to school, and it's a state-operated school, and you learn about how to make pizza dough, how to cook it, the temperatures, how long to put it in there, what kind of cheese, and so on. And then you agree that once you have finished the school and gotten a good grade, that you will use only certain pieces of equipment. By that I mean certain flours, certain equipment in terms of cooking and so on and so forth. All of those things are something that you swear to when you leave. And you know, in America, there's only a few pizzerias all over the country that actually abide by that sort of thing. Here's one of them, Bambini'S.
Yeah,
he wants the flour to be the way it's supposed to be, meaning the way they originated it in the Naples area. He wants his sauces to be this certain thing. And as you know, many times here on Wines du Jour, I've personally said there is no such thing as Italian food. There is Italian regional cuisine. So each region of Italy prepares a little bit different. And in Naples, they have their own way of doing it, and by golly, that's the way it tastes right here. If you had gone to Naples or lived in Naples and then came to North Las Vegas, you could eat here and think you're still home. I mean, it's really that way.
Yes.
Tonight, we're going to feature not only the good food from Bambini'S, but we're also going to feature, well, let me ask you this. If I told you great white shark, if I said that to you, does that mean anything other than something swimming in the water? Well, if you're a golfer, like I said a little bit earlier, you know that we're talking about Greg Norman. Well, Greg Norman is not only a great golfer, but he also went into the wine business a few years ago and has just done a superb job. By that I mean, he's showing America what Australian wines are all about, because he buys the finest grapes down in that area and does it. And then, in addition to importing it from Australia, he goes to California, makes arrangements with certain buyers there, and buys specific grapes. Tonight we're going to taste some from the Paso Robles area in California. And he just blends different varietals together from Paso Robles to come out with his really shark red, he calls it. It's not a specific varietal, and we'll talk about that when the time comes. Tonight, Bambini'S is going to put together some food to go along with this, these great wines. Now let me tell you more about the wines first. The first wine I just told you is Shark Red. That's the blend that Greg Norman has put together. The second one is from Australia, and it is Cabernet Sauvignon. Boy. Now, you know, Cab is the most consumed red wine in the whole world. More people drink Cabernet Sauvignon than any other red wine. Okay, so he's taken some of the finest in Australia, gone through his little system that he's learned from his winemaker, and then brought that wine to the United States. So we're going to have some of that with some food. In fact, we're going to have it with a little bit of pasta and meatball a little bit later. And then last but not least, you can't go to Australia and not have bubbly. Bubbly is what they call champagne. And of course, we know that if the product doesn't come from Champagne, France, it has to be called sparkling wine, or whatever name the country comes up with. As an example, Spain doesn't call it sparkling wine, they don't call it champagne, they don't call it bubbly, they call it cava. So every country kind of has its own name, or just simply sparkling wine. Well, we're going to have some bubbly from Australia, and guess what? One of the most popular desserts other than tiramisu is a cannoli. And we're going to have cannolis with our sparkling wine. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back to introduce you to wine number one right after these messages. Be back, and thank you for watching Wines du Jour.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
wine number one. I've talked about it, so let me do that. I'm going to pour a little bit for Chris to taste along with myself, and then we'll talk a little bit about the food. Now, I'm going to be specific about what is in this wine in a moment, but I want Chris to tell us a little bit about what we have here. You've got garlic and onions and butter and beef and so on. You all sauteed all that together.
Yes.
And typically, you might put it in a calzone or in a covering of something.
Yeah, well, here what we do all that, and now you have different choices you can make with the Philly here. It's a Philly steak. You can add onions to it, which is in here, green peppers, mushrooms, but usually we put in our homemade Italian bread. And then some people choose provolone cheese or whatever kind of cheese, but most of the time it's provolone cheese, and it's served warm, and yeah, it's
Okay.
really good.
Let's taste the wine.
All right.
I'm going to tell you exactly what this combination is because it's detailed. It's 48% Syrah. This is all from Paso Robles, California. It's 25% Petite Syrah. It is 11% Mourvèdre, and it is 9% Grenache. All of those blended together, and I have to tell you, what a great combination. Let's taste it. Wow, full body flavor, a lot of fruit forward, and just really tasty. Let's taste that with a little bit of this. Go ahead. You can have some, I'll have some. Okay. Oh, that's good. Food pairing, that's what the show's all about. The combination between the items that Krista's told us about and this shark red are really very good. So we'll be back to go into number 2 in just a moment.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.
Okay, Chris, tell us a little bit about what we've paired with what we're going to taste here in just a moment. This is farfalle. Farfalle, in case you don't know, is what we also call bow ties. That's just simply the shape of the pasta. All pasta is made from the very same recipe, spaghetti, fettuccine, linguine, all of those are the very same product, it's just shaped different, huh?
That is very true.
So you've done this with what kind of a sauce, and got to meet the ball too.
Yeah, meatball. Tonight, you will see we got the bow tie there with our homemade tomato sauce, which we use. Here we go ahead and make it twice a day. It takes 4 hours for us to make it because, well,
See, I'm serious. When I told you the food is good here, they make the tomato sauce twice a day because it takes 4 hours each. Instead of making a week's worth or 2 or 3 days worth and put it in the refrigerator, it's fresh when you come here. That's
that is
very
true,
important.
yes. And our meatball here, we make those fresh every day. We make them, sometimes, it just depends on what kind of business we have, but
Right.
2 to 3 times a day, and it's fresh ground meat, Angus, I believe.
That's beautiful.
And with onions, garlic, peppers, it's just wonderful.
Okay, so now we're going to taste a little bit of wine from Australia. Now this is a combination. It comes from a very specific area in Australia called the Limestone Coast. Limestone Coast. And this is a blend of 2 different grapes. It is 51% Shiraz, as they call it. We call it Syrah. Same grape, just a different pronunciation. They've got a different accent than we do. So 51% Syrah and 49% Cabernet Sauvignon. Those two blended together, let me tell you, give you something with a little bit of pizzazz, and yet when you swallow it, it doesn't heat up your throat. It's really very, very nice. Let's taste a little bit of the wine. That is good, isn't it? You like that?
Very, very good.
Now let's taste a little bit of your farfalle. Wow, that tomato sauce. You know, one of the important things, and I happen to know that this is what they do here, is that tomato sauce is made from tomatoes that come from southern Italy. These are not grown in California and picked green and gas so that they turn red by the time they get here. These are called San Marzano. San Marzano is the best tomato in the whole world. No question about it. Nobody in the business would ever disagree with that. And that's what they use here just to make their tomato sauce. It's really good. So that's nice. I forgot to taste the meatball.
You gotta taste the meatball.
I know you know what it tastes like.
I know.
Oh wow, that melts in your mouth. Very, very good. Now the combination of the Syrah, or Shiraz as they call it, and Cabernet Sauvignon are really a very nice thing, because Cabernet Sauvignon is a big one, but Syrah is also a big one. In fact, Syrah, or Shiraz as they say in Australia, is the largest, most popular red wine in Australia. Not Cabernet, but Shiraz. So you put the two together, you got yourself a good combination. Put a little bit of meat, a little bit of tomato sauce with some acid to it, and you've got a great combination. Well, we're going to go to number 3 in just a moment. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after these messages. Welcome back to Bambini'S. We're having a good time here with Chris Etzel. We're tasting food and wine, all from Greg Norman Wineries and, of course, Bambini'S restaurant here. Our third product tonight is a sparkling wine known as a bubbly in the Australian vernacular. And, you know, in France, where they call it champagne, it has to, by law, come from any one combination of three varietals. In Champagne, they can only grow Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. And they can use any two or three or any one of those combinations, but no other varietal. Now, everywhere else in the world, you can do whatever you want. There are people that make bubbly out of Zinfandel. There are people that make bubbly out of Chardonnay. Well, they do that in Australia, in Champagne as well. But here's what's happened with Greg Norman. He wants to be a purist. So even though he's in Australia and doesn't have any rules to worry about, he has made his bubbly out of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier. All three of those. I'm going to pour a little bit for Chris and I, and let's talk a little bit about the dessert. You know, in Italy, probably the second most popular dessert in Italy is called a cannoli. And you might have heard the term holy cannoli. Well, let me tell you, the filling for cannoli varies depending on what part of the world you're in. But this one here tastes exactly like it does in Italy. I'm telling you, this is really good. And it also has a little chocolate nibs in there. That's not a bad thing either. So let's taste the sparkling wine. Now this is 53% Pinot Noir. It is 43% Chardonnay and 4% Pinot Meunier. So the percentage is a little bit different everywhere, but it's still the purest. It tastes exactly like champagne, folks. I mean, because the combination of the varietals, very good. Now, let's try one of those holy cannolis. That's got to be a good thing, and then we'll taste a little champagne or sparkling wine with that. The filling here is perfect. I have to tell you, it's really nice with a little bit of white powdered sugar and the cannoli shell. And they make the shells here too?
No, the shells we don't make here.
Yeah, it's a specialty thing, so it's best to buy some from somebody that knows what they're doing and makes just that.
That is true.
That along with this has got to be pretty good. Well, you know, champagne or sparkling wine is not for just holidays and special events only. You can have this for breakfast on the weekends. You can have this anytime you want. It goes good with lots of things. Now, don't get confused when I say it goes with lots of things. This particular bottle will go with certain kinds of food. Other types of sparkling wine will go with different types of food. There's not one bottle that will go with all kinds of food. You hear that champagne will go with everything? Well, they don't mean it exactly the way it sounds. They mean there is a champagne that will go with steaks. There's a champagne that'll go with pasta. There's a champagne that'll go with desserts. So all of those are things that you need to know, and don't think that one particular bottle is going to go with everything. So let's have a little toast. Thank you very much for watching Wines du Jour. Until next time.
Thank you.
Switch to DirecTV today and get a free upgrade to the all-new Genie, our most advanced HD DVR ever. Genie serves your entire home with just one receiver, allows you to record any 5 shows at once, and gives you up to 3 times more HD recording capacity than cable. Order now and lock in your savings for 2 years. Other packages start at just $29.99 a month. So get all your TV wishes granted. Switch to DirecTV and get your free upgrade to Genie today.